This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And the X-Zone is coming to you around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, UK High Definition Radio, Euro High Definition Radio, Star Cable, and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, Asia, India, Africa, and Europe. My guest this hour, I should say, is Marie Gates, and we're going to be talking to Marie about past lives. In fact, she has a new book out entitled Are We Our Past Lives? And joining us now is Marie Gates. And Marie, welcome to the X-Zone.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Marie.
Well, I was the college instructor for years at various colleges and universities. I have my master's degree in psychology. Well, I became interested in the metaphysical when I was teaching at the University of Alabama, and I met a student who knew a hypnotist who did regressions into past lives. And at first I wasn't interested at all. I thought, well, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in reincarnation. And I was an agnostic, in fact. I didn't believe in anything. I didn't know what to believe in. But I'd had a very strange dream in which I lived in a perfect world, and it was full of love and peace, and I didn't want to leave this world. My husband awakened me from the dream, and I got angry. And so I thought maybe if I went to the hypnotist, there could be some light shed on this dream. So I went, and we uncovered 5 past lives. And one was of a woman who lived in New Haven, Connecticut in the 1940s. And I gave her name. I gave her husband's name and when they had lived, of course, in the 40s in New Haven, Connecticut, so that I could trace it. So when my husband and I moved back to Michigan, which is my home state, we decided that I should go out and look up this past life. So I flew out to New Haven, and one of the first things I did was to go to the library and look in the city directories. And, of course, I wasn't sure what I was going to find, so I picked up a city directory from the 1940s, sat down at the table with the book before me, and prayed, even though I didn't know for sure if there was a God. I hoped there was, and that I would be able to uncover my past life. Well, okay, so I opened up the book to Jacob Randall, which is the name I give my husband in the past life. I wouldn't want anybody to go to New Haven, look in the city directories, and not find it, because I am protecting the privacy of the family, so that isn't their real name. I just call them that in my books. So anyway, there it was. There was Jacob Randall and his wife's name, and also the place where they had lived.
All right, we've got to take a 2-minute commercial break. Please stand by. X Zone Nation, Marie Gates is our guest this hour. www.areweourpreviouslives.com. That's Are We Our Past Lives. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break in 2 minutes as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
In over 36 years in law enforcement, I've learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, extraterrestrials, and UFOs, how we gather that evidence of their existence, preserve that same evidence, and present it to a court of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Come with me on a journey that seeks to prove with undisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Join me, Larry Lawson, host of the Paranormal Stakeout, coming to the X Zone Broadcast Network. Check out the broadcast schedule for Paranormal Stakeout with yours truly, Larry Lawson, at www.xzbn.net. For more information about me, my travels, and my team, check out our website at www.paranormalfbi.com or join us on Facebook at Florida Bureau of Paranormal.
Marie Gates is our guest this hour. Exonation www.areweourpastlives. That's www.areweourpastlives.com. All right, before we went to the commercial break, Marie, you were telling us that you took a plane and you went to this city where your past lives had led you to. You went to the directory and you looked for the name of the person. Now, there's one question I'd like to ask you. Why are you not using the real name?
Because I want to protect the privacy of the family. My past life daughter is still living. She's 91 years old. Some of her family might not react very well to the fact that she and I have been friends for over 30 years, and of course I've given her my books. Mm-hmm. And we've talked and we've corresponded, and she has one situation in her family where she really wouldn't want this to be known.
But don't take this the wrong way. How do we know that you're telling the truth then if you're using a fictitious name?
Well, I guess some of it has to be based on faith. You have to trust people. I don't know what else I could say about that, but I really don't feel as if I should reveal the person's real name.
All right, then how were you able to actually find your past daughter from a past life?
Okay, what I did was when I found the address listed in the city directory, I went out to the address, and I was surprised to find that this was, of course, an old part of New Haven, Connecticut, where buildings were close together. The address was to a liquor store. And I thought, oh, am I in the right place? Mm-hmm. So I went in, and the proprietor was very friendly. He said that there were apartments above and behind the store. And, of course, that's where the people had lived. And I asked him, did he know the landlord from the 1940s? And he said, yes, I'm buying the building from him. And so he gave me the old landlord's name and his phone number, and I went back to my hotel room and I called him. And the old landlord gave me the married name of the girl who had grown up there. So with that, I went to the phone book and started looking up the name. And I made a couple of false phone calls. I got the wrong people on the other end because, of course, she had the same first name as her mother, Amanda. Mm-hmm. But, of course, her married name was different. And I found that it was a a common name, and so it wasn't easy to find her. But I did get a hold of her, and of course I wouldn't say, I'm your mother from the past life, because she would have hung up on me. I said, I'm doing genealogy, which is a sort of genealogy, what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so she started talking to me about her family. And her mother had had a very rough life. She had to support the family because the father was unemployed during the Depression. And Amanda, that's the mother, the woman I was, worked as a stenographer at the A&P grocery store chain. And, of course, she had to come home and do the housework, take care of her husband and her 2 children. And on Saturday it was especially tough because they had to send their laundry to what they called a wet wash in those days, where it would come back literally wet and all wrinkled, and they'd have to iron it all day. I can imagine that would be really, really exhausting.
I guess
if they
so,
had
yeah.
to iron all the linens and everything. So she basically worked herself to death. What happened was it was 1946,
Mm-hmm.
and her son was coming back from World War II, and she wanted the apartment to be in perfect order. She was a fussy housekeeper, and so she worked so hard getting the apartment just so that her ulcer ruptured. She got a bleeding ulcer, and she had to go to the hospital. Well, the father had been from a Catholic background, and so he insisted she go to St. Raphael's. And as soon as Amanda, the daughter, mentioned St. Raphael's, the Catholic hospital, it rang a bell. It was like I remembered myself as an old woman dying in a hospital bed, and this was a Catholic hospital because the nuns were there in their habits in those days. And my daughter was with me, and I could never explain this first memory I had before I could even talk. And my mother said it was a dream, but I know I was awake. So there it was. There was this scene of my memory.
Wow.
And so I asked Amanda, were you with your mother when she died? And she said, yes. I held her hand, and I can still remember her by my bedside standing there in her lawn wool coat and her scarf. This was February in New Haven. And I was born 3 months afterward.
3 months.
After she died, after my past personality died, Amanda died. I was born 3 months after that.
Tell me, how do we explain reincarnation?
Well, what happens is after a person passes, like in the case of Amanda, they go to the other side where there are spirits of high order that will guide them. First of all, they're going to have a review of their life to see where they did right and where they did wrong, what they might have done differently. And then they will go into learning centers, I understand, on the other side. They can view their past lives, and then they will have these higher order spirits help them plan a future life. And the future life will be to resolve their karma, their past life misdeeds, perhaps, or things they could have done better. And so characteristics will be chosen for them to come into a life with in order to do that. Now, one of the things that was not quite right in the case of Amanda was being a meticulous housekeeper. Now, that isn't quite normal. You people aim for the middle ground, in other words. And so I chose to be born into a family where my mother was a junk collector, a hoarder that we see on TV nowadays. And so that was like the opposite of what I had been, what I came in with. So I had to find middle ground. I had to become balanced, in other words. And so I did eventually. And then I have other characteristics, of course, from other past lives that I would bring in for resolution. Excuse me, another one was, another past life I led was that of Jacob Gruber. He was a circuit riding Methodist minister in the 1800s before the Civil War. And he had spoken out against slavery. He was a very powerful, passionate preacher, and he just told things like they were. He expressed himself freely and got into trouble for speaking out against slavery, because this was at a meeting where there were slaves and their masters. He was arrested for inciting the slaves to rebel. This was in Maryland. This was a slave state, and went to trial, but he was exonerated. And there's a book written about him, The Life of Jacob Gruber. Well, I read that book, and when I looked at his likeness, it's not a photograph, it's like a lithograph or something of that nature in those days, I recognized myself as being him, and it gave me the chills. So that's those are the two reasons I firmly believe in reincarnation, is I recognize myself from the past life in the case of Jacob Gruber, and because of the connection with the dream, or with the memory I had as a young child with Amanda Randall. Well, Jacob Gruber, getting back to, I got a little off track, I'm sorry, back to the characteristics, Jacob Gruber was an arrogant minister. He thought he was superior to others, and he expressed that by criticism of other ministers, and especially Catholic priests. He would also, excuse me, allergies, do things like take cigarettes or cigars from men's mouths, because of course this was wrong according to the Methodists and other religions in the 1800s. Drinking alcohol and smoking cigars or whatever was wrong. So I had to come into this life with that characteristic of arrogance in order to resolve that. And that took me a while. And as I indicated before, we choose our parents. Now, my mother was not only a junk collector, but she was also arrogant. She thought she was she was superior to other people. And so that activated what I had brought in from Jacob Gruber, and I became arrogant, thinking I was superior to other people. Well, eventually I worked that out. I know that isn't the case, that everybody is the same. We're all human beings. We all have a certain dignity, and we should respect each other. And so I had to learn that. And I came in with many characteristics from other past lives. Some of these were mental disorders, you might say, like claustrophobia. How I got claustrophobia was I brought it in from the life of a young man who had been a gold miner during the gold rush in California. He had run away from home. He was fed up with his father, who was an incompetent farmer. He couldn't even put a chicken coop together well enough that the animals wouldn't run off with the chickens. So I, as that boy, his name was Tim Cooper, just ran off and eventually wound up in California. Unfortunately, I hooked up with a couple of dishonest partners in my gold mining interest in...
Marie, stand by. We've got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation Marie Gate is our guest, and Marie and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue live and around the world from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. 1-800-610-7035, worldwide toll-free. My name is Rob McConnell. You're listening to The X Zone. Don't go away.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401 courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Welcome back, Exonation. Don't forget, this coming February in the new year 2012, I'll be the Master of Ceremonies at the Body, Soul, Spirit Expo being held at the International Center right across the road from Pearson International Airport. That's 6900 Airport Road in Mississauga. For more information, if you'd like to be an exhibitor, if you'd like to know who's going to be attending, if you'd like to get tickets ahead of time, www.bodysoulspiritexpo.com. My guest this hour is Marie Gates. We're talking about reincarnation, and Marie is the author of a book entitled Are We Our Past Lives? And that's her website, www.areweourpastlives.com. Now, Marie, there's quite a controversy out there when it comes to past life regression. It's only done through regressive hypnosis. And, the jury is out to lunch as whether it's real or whether it's a pseudoscience or whether it's just fiction, and the implications of the suggestions of the person who is conducting the hypnotic trance actually directs the recall. How do we know that it's real?
Well, as I said before, I did get the name of the person I had been in the past life plus their husband, and it did check out as far as the relationship between what I'd said in hypnosis and finding my past life daughter, actually. So I would have to say that part of the hypnosis, I think, was accurate. However, I'm not saying that everything I said under hypnosis is accurate, because that is not true. I found out from my past life daughter that when I said that her mother was abused by her father, that was not true. Also, I'd said that the mother had ran off with another man. Mm-hmm. That was not true. And so some of it was true and some of it wasn't. So I think what people have to do is check it out as much as they can to find out which is accurate and which is not.
But how, if some of it is not accurate, how can we give validity to the statements that people tell us are valid?
Well, they would have to be proven. As I said, that death scene was the proof that I was looking for, that the death scene that I had recalled as a young child when I had talked to my past life daughter. That was accurate. So that's what proved it for me. And I wouldn't have been able to get in touch with her at all, because I didn't recall her mother's name or her dad's name on my own. I needed to go to the hypnotist to get it out. And it did not come out easy, I will have to say that much. It came out by syllables, like the first syllable of the last name, the surname, came out in one session, and the second syllable came out in the other session. So it was not an easy process. And I'm saying it cannot be said to be 100% accurate.
All right, let me ask you this. Based on what you're telling us, your story, is it a true story?
Everything I said is true, except in the case where I was not abused by my husband in the past life, nor did I run away with the other man. But everything else that I had been able to find out was pretty much true.
All right, then let me ask you this question. Why do you use a pen name and not your real name?
Because I want some privacy for myself.
But isn't that
defeating? We do have individuals here in society. I'm from, of course, the United States, but also in Canada and everywhere else, who really don't like this idea of reincarnation. There's some really people who call themselves Christian, and I would question that would maybe harass people who have different beliefs.
But don't you think it takes away from the credibility of your statements by using a pen name and not being who you really are? It seems like you're hiding behind something.
Well, some people could think that, but I think my privacy is worth taking that risk.
But if you want privacy, why did you write a book?
Well, you can have privacy if you use your pen name, and everybody doesn't know it, but most people that, like my family and friends, know I'm using a pen name, and I've given them copies of my book. I'm not ashamed of it. I just do not want to get involved with, let's say, people from maybe some very strict religions that would disapprove of it and get into arguments with me. I just don't want to deal with that.
So what you're saying is, I want you to believe me, but I'm not going to tell you the truth on who I really am.
No, I think pen names are perfectly legitimate. People have been using them for a long, long time.
Mostly for works of fiction, not works of fact.
Well, if there's a case where a person needs to protect themselves, I think it's okay to do that.
But if you've got nothing to fear, if everything you said is true...
No, that isn't the truth. It could be that everything I said was true, but it's these people that have these extreme views, and I'm sure we know about it in the political arena today, where we get some of these people that have come up with things like they don't want to help people with health care. They'd rather let a 30-year-old man die if he gets sick and he doesn't have health insurance.
But what's this got to do with...
It's a real extremist that we have to deal with.
What's this got to do with your book?
A lot.
Why?
Because those extremists would maybe put me down, and I just don't want to deal with it.
But if it's good enough to publish and you want people to believe you and you want people to pay their hard-earned cash for something that you say is real, don't you think that you owe the public and those who are buying your product to be honest with them and say, this is who I really am?
I'm saying who I really am when I'm given my pen name.
No, that's not.
That's a completely legitimate thing to do, because that's been done for years and years.
That doesn't mean it's right.
A lot of different people.
That doesn't mean that doesn't mean it's right when it comes to trying to tell the public that the contents of your book are real, but you're hiding behind a pen name because you fear retribution.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. A person's entitled to protect themselves.
Then why should that person be allowed to publish a book that they claim to be true?
I guess you and I just have a different opinion. I think a person can publish anything with a pen name, and people can decide whether they're going to believe it's true or not. It's up to them.
You see, when I get somebody on the show who uses a pen name, I don't believe them at all. I believe they're hiding something. It's very...
Oh, that's okay, but I just think that I have a right to protect myself. That's basically
I agree. You've got a right to protect yourself. But when you're asking people to buy money, to spend money on your product based on truth, in your book, does it say that Marie Gates is not my real name, it's my pen name?
I think I do indicate that in the book. I do that for everybody. I've given everybody different names. My family that are in the book, everybody has a different name to protect their identity and for their safety or whatever else. I certainly give my past life daughter a different name and everybody else.
What does your past life daughter say about the entire aspect that you're her mother reincarnated?
She hasn't really said anything. Although she and I have been friends for over 30 years, it's never really come up. I didn't really want to push her into saying anything if she's not comfortable with it. I don't know if she recognizes me as her past or as her mother, and it may be that she doesn't, because when we come into a life, we have a lot of different characteristics from other past lives. And so I'm not exactly the same personality that she would have recognized as her mother. So I don't know. She's never really told me, but she does value our friendship. She has carried my book, my first book, Shadows on My Mind, in her purse for a long time. So I know that she doesn't have any negative feelings toward me, as far as I know.
Does she know that you believe her to be her daughter?
Oh, definitely.
Now
and I always send her a reverse Mother's Day card. In other words, it's like a Mother's Day friend card.
Okay.
But I send her that. She doesn't seem to object to it.
Okay, so you've known her as your daughter for the past 30 years?
Right.
Why did it take you 30 years to write this book?
It didn't take me 30 years. I wrote the first book and published it about 10 years ago. Well, it was my life. I have had a complicated life. I have a handicapped child with attention deficit disorder and other, disorders. And besides that, it was been very, very hard to get published. And finally, in 2000, I did publish the book in paperback form because it became possible to do this through print on demand.
Oh, yeah, good old
and
print on
before
demand.
that, if I had self-published this book, it would have meant I would have to have a print run of maybe 2,000 copies. And frankly, I didn't want to have 2,000 copies of a book around my basement to store.
I
decided not to publish it because I had trouble finding a traditional publisher until print on demand became possible.
What was some of the feedback from the established publishing community when you tried to to get them to publish it?
I really didn't get much feedback. It was just like, okay, this is
basically thanks but no thanks.
Publish it for some reason.
Basically, thanks but no thanks.
Yeah, thanks but no. I didn't get any scathing criticism or anything like that. I didn't really get any letters in detail. It was just like, at this time we can't publish it or something like that. And so I just wasn't able to get it out. I understand one of the reasons is that it is especially hard to publish spiritual material with major publishers because they feel it may not make the money back that they put into it. It's more like a financial consideration than anything else.
Well, it's a business.
Famous is going to get published.
Exactly.
They'll make money on them.
Sure, because it's a business.
It is a business.
Yeah, they're out there to make money, and this is what has happened now with with print on demand. Anybody who has an idea comes up with a book, they can publish it themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Mind you, the marketing value that a publishing house has behind it and the power it has to get it out into the media and distribute it worldwide certainly doesn't apply to self-print or publishing on demand.
Yes, it is. It's a hard road to go.
Is.
But right now, it's very, very hard for just about anybody who's not a celebrity or an established author to get published by a major press because they're just not taking the chance. The economy has just tanked. We all know that, and it's hard for people in a variety of fields.
Is it possible? Do you think that it's the economy, or that people are just not interested in the topic anymore?
Oh, people are interested in the topic. I've already had 30 radio interviews.
How many books have you sold?
I haven't sold a lot of books, but I do go around to places like independent bookstores and festivals and that kind of thing. And I've sold a few, but I haven't sold a lot of books.
No.
But the reason I am publishing the book isn't just to make money. My main reason is to let people know about my experiences.
Why do you think people would want to know about your experience?
Because they're unusual.
That's it?
Yeah, because also because a lot of people aren't too sure whether to believe in God or they aren't really going to church or involved in any religion. They want to know what's next, like what happens after death. I found I was an agnostic before I started believing in reincarnation. I was very afraid of death. I thought, well, what if I die in a car accident?
Hey, Marie,
Marie,
Marie, we have to say so long for tonight. We've just run out of time. Marie Cates is our guest, X-Zone Nation. I don't know. She wrote a book so that she could tell people about her experiences. Yeah, so big deal. It's not a real name. Why would anybody want to buy a book from somebody who's not giving their real name? How do we know the rest of the story's real? I don't know. Take me out of here, Blues Brothers. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone. Don't go.
In over 36 years in law enforcement, I've learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, extraterrestrials, and UFOs, how we gather that evidence of their existence, preserve that same evidence, and present it to a court of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Come with me on a journey that seeks to prove with undisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Join me, Larry Lawson, host of the Paranormal Stakeout, coming to the X-Zone Broadcast Network. Check out the broadcast schedule for Paranormal Stakeout with yours truly, Larry Lawson, at www.xzbn.net. For more information about me, my travels, and my team, check out our website at www.paranormalfbi.com or join us on Facebook at Florida Bureau of Paranormal.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Yes, X-Zone Nation, another one bites the dust. Our guest for the first three segments of this hour, Marie Gates, apparently has a MA in psychology and has taught at various colleges and universities. However, her real name is not Marie Gates, but I will keep her real name as she has requested a confidential. I find it ironic that people who want to tell the truth or want you to believe them start off by deceiving you by using a pen name. You know, it's just like when you do something and you don't want people to know it's really you. You kind of put yourself behind a fictitious entity, a pen name. That's okay, I guess, in certain circumstances. I personally don't know of one. But if somebody is claiming to be, and this is her bio, Marie Gates has an MA in psychology and has taught at various colleges and universities. No, she hasn't. Marie Gates is a fictitious name. It is a pen name. Marie Gates does not exist. So how can I believe anything that was discussed this past hour? If anything, I believe we learned a valuable lesson that people who use pen names should not write books. That's my opinion. A fictitious book? No problem, because the entire book is fictitious. But don't try and tell me or any member of the X-Zone Nation that you're being honest, the information in your book is true, You've changed the names of the characters to protect them and their identities. I can buy that. But to hide behind a pen name because you fear retribution for what you've written? Nah. Doesn't wash here in the X Zone. Doesn't wash here at all. The fact that she sent the manuscript to publishing houses or the pitch and they refused her, well, thanks but no thanks, huh? And then people get into self-publishing and they find themselves behind an 8 ball because they have a hard time selling their book because it's a great idea to them. But when it gets to the public, they say, thanks but no thanks. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. 1-800-610-7035, worldwide toll-free. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. And as you can see, X Zone Nation, when people come on this show and try to use us as a marketing ploy, it doesn't work. I'm not interested. I'm not going to say, yeah, wow, really? Uh-huh. No way. Prove it. One thing there's a couple of things that's missing in this book, in this interview anyway. Honesty and integrity. I'll be back. Don't go away.